I hope you enjoy your freedom, Anna, Marcus said with a smirk as he leaned back in the leather chair, his pen twirling between his fingers like a man playing a game he already won. Anna sat still. Her fingers clenched so tight on her handbag that her knuckles turned white, but she said nothing. Not yet. The courtroom was quiet except for the slow ticking of the old wall clock and the scribbles of the clerk beside the judge. This was supposed to be just a formality. Sign, stamp, done. That's how Marcus, a Caucasian man, saw it. And from the look on his face, he thought he was already halfway to victory. What Marcus didn't know was he was seconds away from the fall of his life. 2 weeks ago, Anna, also Caucasian, found the lipstick, bright red. Not hers. It rolled out from under the passenger seat while she was cleaning Marcus's car. At first she froze. Then she blinked. Then her stomach dropped, but she said nothing. That same night, Marcus came home late, said he was working late with investors. Anna knew that wasn't true. Not because she followed him, not because she had proof, but because after 12 years with the same man, you learn his tone. His lies have a rhythm, and she'd heard this one before. Back in the courtroom, Marcus let out a soft laugh. Sign it, Anna. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. The judge, a Caucasian woman with silver streaks in her hair and fire in her eyes, watched the exchange silently. Her name tag read, Honorable Ruth Daniels. Anna picked up the pen. Her fingers shook, but her eyes didn't leave Marcus's. She signed. He grabbed the paper, added his signature with a dramatic flourish, and slid it back across the table with a cocky grin. Finally, he muttered, like a man who just broke out of prison. Marcus thought this was the beginning of his freedom. He was already making plans to move in with Angela, the marketing director of the company he and Anna built from scratch. They started with a home office, a broken-down laptop, and a shared dream. Now, it was a multi-million-dollar brand in skincare and wellness, Glow-Rise Company. But in Marcus's head, Anna was just a phase, a stepping stone. And with the prenup in place, he believed she'd walk away with next to nothing. He'd get the business, the house, and Angela. He was untouchable. Or so he thought. Judge Daniels adjusted her glasses and began flipping through the file. That hum wasn't loud, but it echoed through the courtroom like thunder. Anna sat up straighter. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Everything all right, Your Honor? He asked, still casual. The judge didn't answer right away. She was reading something carefully. Slowly, her forehead creased. This prenup, she finally said. Who drafted it? Marcus chuckled. Our family attorney, Steve Brooks. He handled everything. Did both parties have legal representation when this document was signed? Marcus waved it off. Of course, it's in the file. Judge Daniels looked up straight at Anna. Mrs. Carter, were you represented by counsel when this prenup was created and signed? Anna's voice was calm. Too calm. No, Your Honor. He told me it wasn't necessary. Said it was just standard. The air changed. You could hear the shift in the room. Marcus sat up, his smirk fading just a little. The judge nodded slowly. Then her tone turned sharp. Then I'm afraid this document, this prenup, is not legally binding. It is invalid under state law. The words hit like a gunshot. Marcus blinked. Wait, what? No, that's not possible. The courtroom went silent. Judge Daniels continued. Under California law, both parties must have legal representation or explicitly waive it in writing, and that waiver must be presented in court. I see no such waiver or independent counsel here for Mrs. Carter. This prenup is void. Marcus's hands trembled. No, that can't be. That paper. Anna finally spoke. Her voice was steady, her eyes cold. You told me I didn't need a lawyer. You said we were a team. Remember that? Everything Marcus had counted on, the money, the company, the clean break, just shattered in front of him. And Anna didn't gloat. She didn't smirk. She just stared at him with years of pain behind her eyes. Judge Daniels folded her hands. Mr. Carter, since there's no legal prenup, we'll proceed with a full asset review. Your businesses, properties, and financial accounts are now subject to equal division. Marcus's mouth hung open. His face turned pale. Anna stood slowly. Her dignity was intact. Her silence had been power. And then, in the most ironic twist of all, Marcus laughed. But it wasn't joy. It was broken, a nervous, bitter laugh. The kind a man lets out when he realizes the trap he set was his own. The secret email where we find out Anna knew more than she ever let on, and her quiet revenge had just begun. 3 months before the courtroom bombshell, Anna sat in the kitchen with a cup of lukewarm tea and a knot in her stomach. She wasn't crying. She had done enough of that. She stared at her laptop screen, reading the same email for the 3rd time, from Angela M. to Marcus Carter. Subject: Can't wait to finally be free with you. The moment she signs, everything we've worked for will be ours. No more hiding, no more pretending, just you, me, and the company. I know it was your idea to make her sign that paper before the business really took off. Genius. She'll walk away with nothing. You'll walk away with me. Anna couldn't breathe for a second. She had opened Marcus's email by accident, or maybe fate. He left his work laptop at home and a client alert popped up. Anna clicked it, curious, but what she found was more than a message. It was betrayal. Brutal, cold, calculated betrayal. 12 years of love, of building from the ground up, of sleepless nights and shared struggle, all traded for a younger woman with a sharp dress, a fake smile, and eyes only for the throne Anna helped build. Back in the present, Marcus was still in shock from the judge's announcement. His lawyer fumbled through papers, stuttering something about reconsideration and procedural errors. Judge Daniels shut that down quick. This case will proceed under marital property laws, she repeated firmly. Marcus turned to Anna, his voice low and frantic. You knew about the prenup being invalid, didn't you? Anna looked him dead in the eyes. I didn't, but I suspected, and I made sure. Back to the night she found the email. Anna didn't confront him. No screaming, no throwing clothes out the window, no drama. That's what Marcus expected, and she wasn't going to give it to him. Instead, she opened a private folder on her laptop labeled Sunrise. It held every receipt, every early draft of the company logo, photos of their garage setup when they couldn't afford an office, a voice memo from Marcus back in 2014 saying, "We don't need lawyers between us. We built this. You trust me, right?" Anna saved everything. She even had screen recordings of the first time they transferred ownership shares, when Marcus insisted on putting 60% in his name for investor confidence. Everything was backed up. Everything had a timestamp. Back in court, Anna's voice was calm. I have full documentation of our financial history, from the first check we ever deposited to the latest product launch. I've sent copies to the court. Marcus's face went pale. You planned this? No, Anna said. I prepared. There's a difference. 2 nights before the court date, Anna met privately with a new lawyer, a woman named Carmen Blake. Sharp, quiet, deadly. Anna told her everything. Carmen listened, then smiled and said, You've already done most of my work. Now let's finish this. Marcus looked around the courtroom like he was drowning. Angela wasn't here. Of course not. She wanted the crown, not the war. And Anna. Anna was no longer the woman who cried in silence when he came home late. She was still. The judge called a short recess. Marcus rushed to the hallway, Anna walking behind him slowly, heels clicking against the polished floor. He turned on her. You could have just walked away and let me keep everything we built. Give you the company while you parade around with her like I never mattered. She shook her head. I'm not your footnote. You're bitter. No, she said. I'm awake. Anna sat on a bench outside the courtroom. Her phone buzzed. A message from Carmen. We've got more. Call me. You'll want to see this before the next hearing. Anna called. Carmen's voice was steady. Angela's been leaking proprietary info to your biggest competitor. There's proof. We're building a case. And if it connects back to Marcus, he's not just walking away broke. He could face corporate fraud charges. Anna closed her eyes and breathed in. For once, she didn't feel small. She didn't feel broken. She felt power returning to her bones. She had waited in silence long enough. Now it was her turn to speak. Not with words, but with proof. Angela's game. Where Angela thinks she's in the clear until the real storm hits. Angela sat in the corner booth of a high-end rooftop lounge in Midtown, sipping on a $25 cocktail like she owned the sky. She wore a tight red dress, lips to match, and heels sharp enough to slice through glass. To the world, she was Angela Moore, the woman behind the stunning growth of Glow-Rise Company's marketing. But behind closed doors, she was more than that. She was the reason Marcus came home late, the whisper behind every decision, the other woman who was ready to be the woman. And tonight, she was celebrating. To her, Anna was already gone, out of the picture, out of the company, out of Marcus's life. Angela thought she had played her game like a queen. She didn't know the chessboard was burning beneath her. 2 hours earlier, Carmen sent Anna a secure email containing a PDF with a subject line that read, "Confidential data leak evidence from Angela Moore's account." Anna clicked the file. Her jaw clenched. Emails, bank records, encrypted messages between Angela and one of their biggest skincare competitors, True Glow Incorporated. Every single piece pointed to something ugly. Angela had been leaking company secrets, formulas, marketing strategies, launch dates, vendor deals, everything. In exchange, a guaranteed executive seat if Anna was out of the picture and Glow-Rise Company lost enough value to become ripe for takeover. And she wasn't just doing this for herself. Angela and Marcus had talked about merging with True Glow. After the divorce was finalized 3 weeks ago, Angela sat on Marcus's lap in his penthouse office, laughing. "I still can't believe she didn't get a lawyer. You're a genius, babe." Marcus chuckled, kissing her neck. "She trusts me. That's her weakness." "Not anymore," Anna whispered to herself in the present as she stared at the evidence. Angela's phone buzzed at the rooftop bar. "Marcus, we need to talk now. She found something." Angela frowned and texted back. "Relax. She's just trying to scare you. Stick to the plan." Marcus's next message made her heart stop. "The prenup is invalid." Angela dropped her glass. It shattered on the floor, drawing stares. "Ma'am, are you all right?" a waiter asked. She waved him off, her heart racing. The game was changing, and not in her favor. Meanwhile, Carmen had already filed a motion to freeze Glow-Rise Company assets until the investigation into the leak was complete. Anna hadn't said a word to the press. No public drama, no Instagram quotes, no "he cheated on me" rants. She moved in silence, but with purpose. She let the facts speak, and the facts were loud. Angela rushed to Marcus's place that night. "What do you mean the prenup's not valid?" she snapped, barging into the condo. Marcus looked like hell. He had been drinking, shirt half unbuttoned, hands shaking. "The judge threw it out," he muttered. "She had everything, receipts, emails, records. She came prepared." Angela's eyes narrowed. "You said she didn't have a lawyer." "She didn't, but she got one later. A beast. This woman, Carmen. She tore everything apart." Angela turned away, pacing. Then Marcus said the one thing that broke whatever fantasy she had left. "I might lose the company." She turned back to him, jaw tight. "We might." He looked up. "No, me. Anna still owns 40%. And now that there's no prenup, it's up for full division. You don't own anything, Angela." Angela's phone buzzed again. Unknown number. "We have your emails. We know what you did. You'll be hearing from our legal team." Angela stared at the screen. Then another message came in. Carmen Blake. "Playtime is over, Ms. Moore." Angela's stomach twisted. The next morning, the news broke. Breaking. Internal sabotage rocks Glow-Rise Company. Executive under investigation for corporate espionage. Angela's photo flashed across the screen. So did Marcus's. The story was everywhere. Reporters stood outside Glow-Rise headquarters. Investors were pulling back. Employees were in chaos. Anna, she was at home in her small kitchen, barefoot in an old hoodie, holding her coffee with both hands. She watched the news calmly. No tears, no smile, just peace. The storm had arrived, and she wasn't in it. Angela was called in for questioning. Marcus's assets were now under review. Anna had full legal control over her 40%, and with Angela's scandal dragging Marcus into the mud, the court was leaning heavily in Anna's favor. That evening, Anna met Carmen in a quiet cafe. "Are we ready for the next move?" Anna asked. Carmen nodded. "By the time we're done, you'll have more than half the company, and they'll both be out legally, publicly, forever." Anna stirred her tea. "I don't want revenge," she whispered. "I want what I built, what I earned, and I want peace." Carmen smiled. "Then let's take it back." The takeover begins, where Anna makes her boldest move yet, one that shakes the entire city. The morning air was heavy with headlines. CEO's dirty secrets exposed. Glow-Rise faces boardroom crisis. Angela Moore named in espionage scandal. Ex-wife of CEO emerges as quiet power player. Anna walked through the lobby of Glow-Rise Company, wearing a black fitted suit and low heels. Her hair was pinned back. No earrings, no flash, just fire in her eyes and strength in every step. The same security guard who used to nod and smile at her now stood stiff. Miss Carter, should I call someone?" "No," Anna said with a soft smile. "I know where I'm going." Upstairs, chaos buzzed through the open floor plan. Phones rang, emails poured in. Managers whispered in corners. The entire building felt off balance because the woman they thought was out of the picture was back. And not just back, in control. 2 days earlier, Judge Daniels issued a temporary ruling. Until the full division of assets was resolved, Marcus and Anna would be recognized as equal co-founders and co-owners. That meant boardroom decisions were now 50-50, and with Angela under federal investigation, the board removed her from her post immediately. But what shocked them most? Anna didn't ask to fire Marcus. She asked to meet the board. Back to the office. Anna entered the glass conference room. 12 board members sat, all white-haired men and a few sharp-dressed women, eyes sharp and cautious. Marcus stood by the window, jaw clenched. He hadn't spoken to Anna since the judge's ruling. Anna sat down slowly, folding her hands. "Let me be clear," she said. "I'm not here to throw anyone under the bus." She looked straight at Marcus. "Not yet." Some of the members shifted uncomfortably. "But I am here to protect what I built, what we built, and now what I plan to rebuild, with or without him." Marcus scoffed, arms crossed. "You've made your point. You're angry. You want control. Fine. But don't pretend this is about the company." Anna turned to him, her voice calm. "You turned this into war, Marcus. I turned it into strategy." She pulled out a thick folder and slid it across the table. "This is my proposal for emergency restructuring, new leadership, new compliance systems, and full transparency reporting to the board and the public. We survived this, not by hiding, but by owning what happened and rising above it." The room was silent. Anna leaned forward. "You have two choices. You can fight me, or you can step aside and save what's left of your name." Later that evening, Marcus sat in his car for over an hour, parked in front of the same building he once walked into like a king. Now he was just another name on a scandal. Anna had shown up like a storm, silent, precise, unshakable. Meanwhile, Angela was holed up in her condo, pacing back and forth while her lawyer shouted over the phone. "They have everything. You're looking at a real prison sentence if this gets worse. Why would you email company secrets?" Angela screamed back. "Because Marcus said we had the plan under control." She turned to the mirror and nearly didn't recognize herself. This wasn't power. It was desperation in lipstick. Anna sat on her old couch that night, holding the first sample jar of glow serum they ever made together. It still had the old handwritten label. She remembered nights mixing ingredients in the kitchen while Marcus talked big dreams. She remembered packing orders in the living room. She remembered his promise. "No matter how big we get, it'll always be you and me." But she also remembered how he stopped looking her in the eyes, how he flinched when she touched him, how the secrets grew louder than the love. The next morning, the board approved Anna's proposal. The press statement was clear. "Effective immediately, Anna Carter will serve as acting CEO of Glowrise Company. Marcus Carter is on indefinite leave pending asset review and internal restructuring." The city buzzed. A woman scorned hadn't screamed. She hadn't broken windows. She walked in and took the crown without bleeding a drop. Later, Carmen called. "It's not over yet," she said. "I know," Anna replied, "but it's starting to feel like justice." "What about Marcus?" Carmen asked. "Do you want him buried?" Anna sighed. "I want him forgotten." That night, Anna opened an old notebook. Inside were scribbled ideas, dreams she'd written when the company first started. Ones Marcus told her were too soft or too emotional. Now she was CEO. Now she could finally build her version of the dream. No more glass ceilings. No more second-guessing. No more silence. She turned to a blank page, picked up a pen, and wrote 3 words. Chapter 1. Me. The Fall of a King, where Marcus realizes what it truly means to lose everything, including himself. Marcus sat alone on the edge of his California king bed. The sheets wrinkled and cold. The silence so loud it roared. No more morning coffee waiting on the counter. No more texts from Angela. No more smiling assistants opening doors for him with, "Good morning, Mr. Carter." Now there was just silence and the sound of everything falling apart. The media had turned on him like wolves. CEO accused of covering up espionage ties with lover. Glowrise co-founder Anna Carter named interim CEO amid scandal. Marcus Carter facing civil lawsuits following prenup collapse. His emails were flooded. His investors were ghosting him. His lawyer had called that morning with a warning. Anna's legal team is pushing for full control of Glowrise. If the court sees you as a liability, especially tied to Angela, you'll lose everything. Marcus laughed bitterly. He already had. 5 weeks ago, he was on a yacht with Angela. Champagne in one hand, her waist in the other. They were planning the new empire. Glowrise would be his. Angela would be CEO of a new branch. Anna, she'd be gone, probably crying into her sister's lap, thinking about where it all went wrong. Only she didn't cry. She didn't beg. She didn't even scream. She built. And now she'd won. Back in his penthouse, Marcus stared at the blank TV. His phone lit up. It was a call from an unknown number. He answered with a dead voice. "Yeah." "Mr. Carter," the voice said. "This is Special Investigator Karen Lowry. We're reaching out to schedule a time to speak regarding Angela Moore's involvement in corporate data theft. Your name came up multiple times." He closed his eyes. This wasn't just a fall. It was a free fall. Anna, meanwhile, sat across from her new board, calm and in control. Every decision passed through her. New ethics training, third-party security audits, staff wellness programs. She wasn't just cleaning the house. She was rewriting the foundation. Some people said she was going soft. Others said she was exactly what the company needed. But Anna didn't care. She was finally doing it her way. Marcus showed up at her office 1 week later. Uninvited, unshaven, eyes hollow. Security tried to stop him, but Anna, watching through the glass, raised a hand. Let him in. He entered quietly, like a man walking into a funeral. Her office was bright, neat, filled with plants and sunlight. A framed photo of her late mother sat on the shelf. Her mom had always told her, "Never fight for love that disrespects you. Walk away like a queen." Anna leaned back in her chair, calm, professional. Marcus didn't sit. He didn't know if he should. "I messed up," he said. Anna raised an eyebrow. "That's an understatement. I didn't mean for things to get this far. You meant to betray me. You meant to lie. You meant to leave me with nothing. What you didn't plan was for me to survive it." Marcus looked away. Angela flipped. "She said she'll drag me down with her if I don't clear her name." Anna nodded. "You picked her. Now face her." There was a long pause. Then he asked softly, "Do you hate me?" Anna looked at him for a while. "No, I just see you clearly now, and that's worse." Marcus walked out of that building with shoulders low, soul cracked. His name was still on paper, but Anna's name was in the hearts of every employee. His reign was over. Angela was later indicted. She pled guilty to avoid jail time. Marcus avoided prison, but not punishment. The court awarded Anna 70% ownership of Glowrise Company based on her documented contributions, betrayal by Marcus, and proven leadership. Marcus kept 30%, but without public trust, it meant nothing. 1 month later, Marcus quietly sold his shares to a private buyer. He disappeared from the media. No interviews, no comeback posts. The man who once laughed during the divorce now faded into the shadows. And Anna, she didn't celebrate with champagne or flashy parties. She hosted a staff appreciation day instead. Every person who stood by her, from janitors to designers, got a bonus. She smiled genuinely for the first time in months. That night, she stood on the rooftop of the company building she once helped paint walls in. The city lights sparkled below. Carmen walked up beside her. "You did it," Carmen said. "No," Anna whispered. "We did it." Carmen looked at her. "What's next?" Anna smiled. "I'll build something that no man can take from me again." Where Anna faces the ghosts of her past and builds a new legacy beyond survival. The sun rose over the city like a quiet promise. Anna stood barefoot on the balcony of her modest new condo. Not as big as the old house, but peaceful in a way that space and marble floors could never buy. She cradled a cup of warm ginger tea in her hands, her skin kissed by the golden morning light. It had been 4 months since the courtroom bombshell. 4 months since Marcus walked out of Glowrise Company, a broken man. 4 months since Angela's face was plastered across tabloids and then wiped off just as fast when her reputation burned to ash. Anna had survived. No, Anna had risen. But survival wasn't the end of the story. This was her rebirth. The city had started calling her the Phoenix CEO. An online article read, "Anna Carter didn't just rebuild. She redefined what corporate redemption looks like. From betrayal to boardroom power, her story is rewriting the rulebook on female resilience." Her inbox was flooded daily with speaking invitations, collaborations, mentorship requests, and she accepted a few. But most, she declined with quiet dignity. Anna wasn't interested in becoming a symbol. She wanted to become free. She'd spent the last few months repairing not just a business, but a heart. The heart she'd hidden behind "I'm fine" too many times. The heart she'd buried under "I trust him," even when her body told her something was wrong. The heart that had been shattered, not just by the betrayal, but by the silence she kept for years. That morning, as she dressed for the first official board meeting under her new leadership, she didn't pick the usual black suit. She chose white, a soft, flowy, powerful white pantsuit with gold accents. It wasn't just fashion, it was a statement. She was no longer fighting. She was glowing. Inside the boardroom, executives and advisors filled the space. Some had doubted her once. Others had underestimated her. But today they stood when she walked in. Anna didn't speak right away. She looked around the room, breathing it in. Then she smiled gently and said, "I don't want applause. I want impact." Everyone sat up straighter. "I'm not here to be the woman who got her revenge. I'm here to be the woman who turns pain into purpose. Let's make Glowrise more than a brand. Let's make it a promise." She tapped her finger on the table. A promise that every woman who's been told she's too emotional, too soft, too slow knows that her strength is not in how loud she screams, but in how deeply she stands. The room was silent, but this time it was a silence filled with respect. Later that evening, Anna walked through the original warehouse where she and Marcus had once started Glowrise. The lights flickered above. The paint on the wall was peeling, but to Anna, it was sacred ground. She walked past the old desk where they used to print labels, past the empty shelves where they once stored handmade products. Then she stood in the center of the room, closed her eyes, and let the memories wash over her. She remembered staying up until 3 a.m. packing boxes. She remembered eating ramen noodles on the floor, laughing with Marcus about when we make it big. She remembered the night she sat here alone after she found the lipstick in his car, sobbing into her hands because she couldn't understand how someone who once held her with such love could now be hiding lies behind every kiss. But she didn't cry now. Not anymore. She had already shed those tears. Now she was planting something new. She picked up a marker from a dusty shelf and walked to the concrete wall near the back. There she wrote, "Bloom here," in big, bold letters. Underneath it, she added, "Elsie," because this was where it all began, and now it would begin again. The next day, Anna met with Carmen for lunch in a quiet cafe with wood tables and sun pouring in through the windows. Carmen raised a glass to rebirth. Anna clinked her glass gently, to rising without burning others. Carmen tilted her head. "You ever think about love again?" Anna smiled, looking out the window. "I'm still learning how to love myself fully. That comes first." "Fair. But one day," Anna added, "I want a love that feels like peace, not war. A love I don't have to fight to keep." Carmen nodded. "You'll get it. Women like you don't just rise. They rewrite stories." Anna leaned back, a soft laugh escaping her lips. "I used to think I needed him to feel valuable. I used to think partnership meant losing pieces of yourself to make the other person whole. But now, I've learned I was never broken. I was just waiting to be seen." That night, Anna stood before a room of young women entrepreneurs. No notes, no podium, just her voice. You don't have to scream to prove your strength. You don't have to destroy others to rise. You don't even have to get even to get ahead. You just have to believe quietly and fiercely that you belong in every room your pain tried to keep you out of. The crowd didn't clap right away. They were too still, too moved. One girl, no older than 20, had tears rolling down her cheek. Anna saw her, and for the first time in months, she felt something stronger than anger, deeper than revenge. She felt healing. That night, as Anna walked back to her car, the city buzzed around her. Horns, voices, laughter in the distance. But inside her, everything felt still, rooted. She didn't need flashing lights or trending hashtags. She didn't need to prove her strength anymore. Her existence was proof. But just as she pulled her keys from her purse, she heard someone call her name. "Anna." She turned around. It was him, Marcus. She hadn't seen him in person since that last visit to her office. His once pristine suits were now replaced by a wrinkled gray hoodie and jeans. His beard was untrimmed, and his eyes held the weight of too many sleepless nights. Anna didn't flinch. She didn't step back. She simply stood. "I didn't mean to ambush you," he said quickly. I've been watching everything, reading, listening, and I had to say something." Anna crossed her arms. "I hope it's not another apology. I've heard enough of those." "No," he said quietly. "It's not that." He walked closer, slower now, his voice lower. "It's not about winning or losing anymore. It's about seeing, and I finally see you." Anna tilted her head, eyes sharp. "Too late for that." "I know," he nodded. "I know it is. But I also know that what I destroyed wasn't just our marriage. It was something sacred. You gave me your loyalty, your heart, your dreams, and I turned them into leverage." His voice cracked. "I lost everything. But the worst part isn't the company. It's that I lost the one person who believed in me when I was nothing." Anna swallowed hard. Not because she wanted him back. No, that door was shut forever. But because hearing those words after all the silence, all the nights she cried in secret, meant something. Not closure, but confirmation. That she hadn't imagined it. That her love had been real, even if his loyalty wasn't. She nodded slowly. "You didn't just betray me, Marcus. You buried me, and you smiled while doing it." He looked down. "I know, but the thing is," she continued, "I didn't die. I bloomed, and not because of you, but in spite of you." He looked up, tears in his eyes. "I'm proud of you." She sighed. "Good. Be proud from a distance." She turned and got into her car. Before driving off, she said through the window, You had a good woman, a smart partner. You chose a shortcut. Now walk that path alone. Then she drove away, and she didn't look back. The next day, Anna met with her product development team. The company was preparing to launch its most personal collection yet, Rooted, a skincare line inspired by healing, strength, and womanhood. Every label had affirmations, every product named after a phase in her journey. Silence, the night serum she used when crying alone. Bloom, the daytime glow elixir. Voice, a soft rose oil designed to be used before speaking engagements. Rebirth, a body balm that reminded her of morning sunlight on her skin after the court hearing. This wasn't business anymore. It was legacy. Later that week, Anna was invited to a live talk show to share her story. She hesitated, not because she was afraid, but because she was no longer trying to be seen. She had already done the work, but Carmen encouraged her. This isn't about them seeing you. It's about you showing the others, the women still sitting in silence, what's possible. So Anna went on camera under soft lights. The host asked her, "If you could go back to the day you found out he was cheating, the day you found the lipstick, what would you tell that version of Anna?" Anna took a long breath, then looked straight into the camera. "I would tell her, get up. Not for him, not to prove anything, but because you still have so much life to live. Get up and take one small step. That's how queens rise." The crowd burst into applause, but Anna didn't smile for them. She smiled for the woman she used to be. The one who once curled into a corner thinking it was over because she knew now it was just beginning. The letter she never sent. Where Anna revisits an old draft she wrote in heartbreak and discovers the strength in words left unsent. There it was, tucked deep in the back of her bedroom drawer, under old scarves and faded notebooks. A plain white envelope, unsealed, the edges slightly curled with time. Anna stared at it for a long second, her fingers brushing over the handwriting on the front. To the man I once loved. She had written this letter the night before the final court hearing, when her heart was raw, her pillow wet, and her body trembling with emotions that had no words. Back then, she was broken but full of fire. She didn't send the letter. She didn't even finish reading it. She just tucked it away, afraid of how powerful those words might be if she dared to say them out loud. Now she was ready. Anna sat down by the window, the sunlight warming her skin, and slowly unfolded the letter. Her hands didn't shake this time. Her voice didn't crack as she read. She was calm, still strong. "Marcus, you probably don't deserve this letter. You probably won't even understand half of it. But I need to say it for me. Not to get you back, not to hurt you, but to close a door you left wide open with your lies and silence. You see, I loved you so much it hurt. I would have followed you into fire. I believed in you more than I believed in myself sometimes. But you saw me as something to own, not honor. You made jokes about keeping the brand strong while keeping secrets with your side chick in the same office we built from scratch. You thought the prenup would protect you, that your smooth lies and fast talk would keep you safe, that you'd walk away with everything, our money, our company, our future, and leave me with nothing but memories and shame. But let me tell you something you never saw coming. You never had the power. I did. I was the one who sacrificed, hustled, planned, prayed, and held us together when you were chasing shadows. You laughed through the divorce papers thinking it was a game. But life isn't checkers, it's chess. And you played a pawn's game while I moved like a queen. So no, this letter isn't about pain. It's about freedom. I don't hate you. I just no longer carry you. Goodbye, Marcus, Anna. She folded the letter back up gently. There was no pain in her chest, no lump in her throat. She placed it in a small box labeled closure. Inside it were other pieces of her healing. A ring she no longer wore, a photo they once framed, a necklace he gave her on their 5th anniversary. She didn't burn the box. She didn't throw it away because healing doesn't always mean erasing. Sometimes it means remembering and choosing peace anyway. Later that afternoon, Anna visited her mom's apartment. The woman who raised her with prayers and pressed hair and faith stronger than concrete. "Ma, I read the letter," Anna said softly as they sat on the porch sipping iced tea. Her mom looked over with her usual calm strength. "And what did it say?" Anna smiled. "It said goodbye, but it felt like hello." Her mother nodded slowly. That's how you know it was written in truth." That weekend, Anna stood in front of another crowd. This time, it wasn't a fancy stage or viral live stream. It was a quiet room at the women's halfway shelter on the east side. No lights, no microphones, just worn chairs and tired eyes. Anna looked at the women. Some were mothers, some barely adults. Some had black eyes, others had broken hearts. All of them were survivors. She pulled the letter from her purse and began to read. With every word, their heads lifted, their shoulders straightened. Some cried quietly. Some gripped their chairs like the truth was too much to hold. When she finished, a woman in the back whispered, "Can I write mine too?" Anna smiled. "Yes, baby. That's how we start." The Letter Project was born that night. A movement of women writing letters they never sent to their abusers, their betrayers, their younger selves. Letters of pain, letters of power, letters of letting go. Anna turned it into a national campaign. She got donations, partners, even a spot on the front page of Essence. But none of that compared to the letters. Hundreds, then thousands. Women from cities and towns and shelters and prisons. Anna didn't need revenge anymore. She had a mission. A few weeks later, a journalist from New York came to interview her. He asked, "Do you ever wish he hadn't cheated? That you could have stayed married?" Anna paused, then looked straight at the camera. "No, because if he didn't break me, I would have never learned to rebuild myself." She stood tall, and I would have never discovered how powerful my voice really was. The silence was unbearable. Marcus Reeves stood in the center of his grand, cold mansion, the same one that once echoed with laughter, clinking champagne glasses, and the low hum of jazz on Saturday nights. Now nothing, just the ticking of an antique grandfather clock and the faint creak of marble under his expensive shoes. For the first time in months, Marcus looked around and realized something haunting. This house wasn't quiet. It was hollow. Everything he thought would make him feel powerful, money, luxury, new women had lost its flavor, like chewing gum that had been in your mouth too long. His Lamborghini sat idle in the garage, his wine cellar untouched, his designer clothes untouched, hanging like ghosts in a walk-in closet too big for one man, and his mistress gone. After the court hearing exploded in public, after the non-legally filed prenup made headlines and Anna took half the business, Chantel slowly disappeared. At first, it was excuses. "I'm flying to Miami, babe." Then came silence. Then came the Instagram photos with someone else. She had moved on to a younger athlete. Marcus couldn't even be mad. He knew what she was after from the start, and he had willingly played the fool. Tonight, he sat in the leather chair in his study, the fireplace flickering as if mocking him. He poured himself a glass of 30-year-old scotch, something he used to reserve for big deals and private celebrations. Now it just burned in his throat like regret. He opened his laptop and typed Anna Marie Reeves into the search bar. Dozens of links popped up. The Letter Project, one woman's journey from betrayal to power. Anna Reeves brings empowerment to shelters nationwide. From divorce court to national movement, the ex-wife everyone's talking about. He clicked on a video. It was a talk show clip. Anna sat there radiant, composed, and real. She wore a simple navy blue dress, her natural curls glowing under the lights. The host leaned in and asked, "If you saw your ex-husband today, what would you say to him?" Anna smiled softly. "I wouldn't say a word. I just hope he finally learned something." Marcus closed the laptop slowly. Her voice still echoed in his head. He got up and walked into the kitchen. Everything was in place. Marble countertops, stainless steel appliances, but no warmth. He opened the fridge, leftovers, takeout boxes, a single bottle of water. This was the kitchen Anna used to cook in, barefoot, singing along to Sade, dancing between the fridge and the stove. She had filled this place with life. Now it was sterile, just like him. He opened a drawer and pulled out a dusty photo album. It was one of the few things he hadn't thrown away. Inside were pictures from the early years. Anna in jeans and a baseball cap, riding the subway with him before the money came. Anna asleep on his shoulder in their first apartment. Anna holding the company's first client check with tears in her eyes. Back then, she had been his world. Now she was the world's voice, and he was a ghost in his own success story. His phone buzzed on the granite island. It was a call from his lawyer. He stared at it for a moment before picking up. "Marcus," the lawyer said, "we have another issue." Marcus sighed. "Of course we do. What now?" "There's a class action lawsuit being formed by ex-employees of Reeves and Rowe. They're citing toxic work environment and racial discrimination." Marcus's jaw tightened. "That's rubbish." "Maybe, but it's coming. And with Anna's public platform, you won't like the headlines." Click. Marcus ended the call and slammed the phone down. Everything was unraveling, not just the marriage, the legacy. He once thought he was untouchable. Now the empire was crumbling brick by brick, and every brick had Anna's initials carved into it. Later that night, Marcus walked into the master bedroom. He sat on the bed, still covered in high-thread Count Egyptian cotton, and stared at the painting on the wall. It used to be Anna's favorite, a Caucasian woman with her head held high, backlit by golden light. He hated that painting now, because he saw Anna in it every time he looked. Strong, untouched, rising. Suddenly, something inside him broke. Marcus Reeves, the once arrogant mogul who laughed through the divorce, who signed the papers like they were contracts for a new deal, wept. He cried not just because he lost Anna. He cried because he realized she was never the one who lost anything. He was. In the dim light of his room, Marcus whispered to the silence, "I didn't just lose you, Anna. I lost me." But no one answered. Just the cold air and the heavy silence of a house that was never truly a home. A shocking twist brings both Anna and Marcus back to the courtroom. This time, not for divorce, but for something that will test their growth, power, and past choices. The courtroom felt different this time. It wasn't about marriage anymore. It wasn't about love or the betrayal that followed it. This was about justice, about truth. Anna stood tall in a simple black pantsuit, her curls pinned up, her presence calm, but commanding. She had returned not as a wife, but as a witness, not as a victim, but as a warrior. At the plaintiff's table sat Darren Lewis, a former intern from Reeves and Rowe. Beside him were 5 others, Young professionals who once dreamed of success, but were crushed by Marcus's cold, power-hungry leadership. They weren't suing for money. They were suing for dignity. And Anna was the reason this was even possible. Months after her divorce, emails began flooding her nonprofit inbox. "Miss Anna, I worked at Reeves and Rowe. They fired me when I spoke up. I was asked to change my name on my resume so I wouldn't sound too urban. They promised mentorship. I ended up filing papers and getting coffee." At first, she hesitated. She didn't want to fight him again. But then she remembered that courtroom moment. The moment the judge said, "This prenup is not legally filed, Mr. Reeves." She remembered how Marcus laughed, how he smirked, how he had looked at her like she was just a chapter in his ego. No, this wasn't revenge. It was redemption. Across the courtroom, Marcus sat hunched at the defense table, wearing a navy suit with tired eyes. He looked smaller now. The power that once dripped from his voice, the arrogance that walked before him, gone. As Anna took the stand, their eyes met. He expected fire. He got something worse. Peace. And that scared him. The prosecutor leaned in. "Mrs. Reeves, when did you first become aware of the internal misconduct at Reeves and Rowe?" Anna nodded calmly. "I knew years ago. I saw hints. Late-night meetings with only one kind of face. Promotions that skipped over voices that deserved to be heard. But back then, I was silent." "Why?" She looked at Marcus again. "Because I thought if I kept the peace at home, I was doing my job as a wife." A few gasps echoed across the gallery. She continued. "I was wrong. Silence is not peace. Silence is fear, and I don't live in fear anymore." The judge leaned forward. "Please continue." Anna looked at the jury. "I didn't come here today for revenge. I came because these young people deserve better. We build empires and leave our own behind. That stops today." Marcus's lawyer stood. "Objection, Your Honor. Irrelevant testimony." The judge raised a hand. "Overruled. Let her speak." Marcus's lawyer leaned over and whispered something, but Marcus didn't respond. His gaze never left Anna, and for the first time, he heard her. Not the words, the weight. After Anna stepped down, Darren took the stand. He trembled at first, but found his voice halfway through. "I was 22, fresh out of college. I believed in Reeves and Rowe. Believed in Mr. Reeves, but every time I offered ideas, I was shut down. Told to stay in my place," the prosecutor asked. "And how did that affect you?" Darren's voice cracked. "I stopped believing in myself." The silence in the room grew heavy. Marcus bowed his head. The judge called for a recess. Outside, the press buzzed like bees. Anna walked past the cameras with grace, refusing interviews. Marcus stepped out a few minutes later, but no one came for him. No flashes, no microphones, only eyes. Eyes that once looked at him like a king, now looked at him like a lesson. Back inside, closing arguments began. Anna wasn't needed on the stand again. But as the jury was dismissed to deliberate, the judge asked if she had anything to say. She nodded, stepping forward one last time. "I forgave my husband when he betrayed me," she began, her voice steady. "I forgave myself for letting it happen, and I forgive the system that allowed it because I am no longer part of it. I'm building something different, and I will not be silent anymore." A standing ovation broke out, not from the crowd, but from the young plaintiffs. 2 days later, the verdict came in. Reeves and Rowe found guilty of systematic discrimination and professional negligence. $12.4 million to be split among 43 employees. Marcus Reeves ordered to step down as CEO, permanently barred from founding another corporate firm within 5 years. It was over. The empire he built on silence had crumbled. 6 months later, Anna walked into her new office, a modest brick building with a small sign that read, "The Rising Project." Inside, laughter filled the halls. Young women and men from all over the city worked on laptops, wrote pitches, hosted workshops, and built futures. She passed a photo on the wall, one of her and her late grandmother who once told her, "Baby, never be afraid to be louder than the room that tries to silence you." Anna smiled. She wasn't afraid anymore. As for Marcus, he sold the mansion, moved into a modest apartment in the city, tried therapy, started teaching part-time business classes at a community college. The spotlight was gone, but in the quiet, he started listening. Sometimes at night, he'd scroll through Anna's interviews, not out of bitterness, but to remind himself of what he lost and what she found. Final line. Anna didn't just win the divorce. She reclaimed her name, her voice, her power, and lit a path for others to do the same. And for Marcus Reeves, he didn't just sign divorce papers that day. He signed away the illusion of invincibility. Because in the end, power isn't who laughs loudest in court. 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 Loudest in court.
So words change, is my point. Like the word handicapped, right? Again, traditionally, that was the politically correct term, the all-inclusive term for cripples and shit, right? But then they went, no, we want to be disabled. They didn't want to be disabled. They said, we want to be referred to as disabled. We don't like the term handicapped anymore. Stop using it. Say disabled. And we went, okay, fine. And that's great. Just tell me the rules. In fact, I'm a stickler for the rules. Like, if I was on a beach and a woman came running up and went, help, help, my handicapped toddler's drowning, I'd go, sorry, you're what, love? What? My handicapped toddler's drowning and he can't swim. Whoa. Do you mean your disabled toddler is drowning? She'd go, yeah. I go, right. Well, it's... Oh, dead. Wasted too much time being woke, didn't I? Well, I am woke now, and I can prove it. Here you go. I love illegal immigrants. Yeah, sue me now. Sometimes I go down to Dover for the day, right? And I look out, right? I look for a boat, and I see a dinghy with about 60 of them, and I go over here, like, right? And I pull them into shore, and I go, women and children first. They go, there are no women and children. Just you lads, is it? Just, come on, lads. Come on, lads. If I go down there one day and there's no boat, I am absolutely fucking gutted. I just sort of wander into town, and I stand by the traffic lights, and I wait for a big lorry to pull up, right? And I look underneath, and there's a lad sort of clutching like that. And I go, where you headed? And he goes, Gary Lineker's house. I go, it's just down there. Yeah. Fuck borders. Fuck, we don't need borders, do we? Be like the Vikings. They didn't care about borders, did they? I've got a little bit of Viking blood in me. Well, we all have, because of all the raping they did. They say it was raping and pillaging, but I think it was mainly for the raping. I think they added the pillaging bit for the wives. I mean, they went down one day and went, right, we're off to Great Britain. Oh, why? Just a bit of pillaging. Just pillaging. Just pillaging, babe. All right. Why are you wearing your rape hat? So this show is called Armageddon, and it's all about how I think humanity might end, because there's a long list of possibilities, you know. We're on a precipice, you know. It could be anything from global warming, the rise of the pandemic, you know, nuclear war, our own stupidity, basically. Because we are getting more stupid as a species, no doubt about that. You can now do a university degree course in Taylor Swift. How fucking low academically can you go? There's an institute in London called the School of Flower Arranging. I went past it, I couldn't believe it. School of Flower Arranging. I looked in, and there's people having lectures. Flower arranging. My mum used to pick flowers every day from the garden, cut flowers, put them in fuck me. Oh, sorry, Jack, can't afford your tennis racket. We've got to spend all the money on a ramp and a motorised wheelchair for this money-grabbing little fucking... Why do you need a motorised one? No arms. That's fair enough. That is fair enough. I can tell some of you feel a bit uncomfortable laughing at little Timmy, who's a little 6-year-old lad. He's got a funny little voice because his chest is all fucked. Got no arms, no legs, just like stumps, right? But let me tell you something about Timmy to make you feel better about yourselves. He's a fucking racist. Yes. Horrible little shit, he is. You little fucking bigot. You disgusting little fucking racist, you racist scum, you filthy little fucking, you fascist, you fucking, you disgust me. Homophobic? Yeah. He's like, they're not like us. Nothing's like you, you disgusting little fucking, you prejudiced little piece of, you ball of hate, you disgusting little fucking racist homophobe. I wish we'd had a scan. You absolute, you... Misogynist. If he could, he'd rape. There's your little Timmy.